From San Antonio's own Ken's 5, this is the news at 5.
4 people are dead and 3 are still unaccounted for after authorities say 15 cars were swept by floodwaters into Vital Creek earlier this morning. I'm Meredith Haas with the very latest.
Coming up, rising river levels in New Braunfels forced sudden closures. This part of the Comal River was about 6 feet higher at 11 a.m. We'll tell you when officials plan to reopen it.
Cars swept away by rising floodwaters and roads literally ripped apart and a stolen vehicle abandoned in rising water. We're live next with the aftermath and what's next.
And a warning from CPS Energy tonight about how to keep you and your family safe, along with CPS Energy workers. We begin tonight with a look at weather damage around the city. Smashed cars are being pulled from the water on Perrin Vital, where at least 4 people were found dead and now several others are missing. And right now, a live look at a car overturned in floodwaters at Highway 90 and Leon Creek. We're still waiting on more information, but we can see first responders are there on the scene. Meantime, this video is from Ken's 5 viewer Adrian. It shows flooding on I-35 with trucks and cars stuck in high water this morning. And Ken's 5 viewer Christy sent us this flooding video from the northeast side. This was happening early this morning at Thousand Oaks and Wetmore, right after the railroad tracks heading towards Nacogdoches. You can see 3 vehicles there stuck in the high water. Finally, damage in a neighborhood in Midtown. The storm knocked down some gutters at this house in Beacon Hill on Gramercy Street. Now to a live look outside. San Antonio is dry at the moment, but a flood watch remains in effect. And we have team coverage with crews around the San Antonio area with the latest on this deadly flooding and its aftermath. One of those areas is Austin Highway and Perrin Vital Road. 4 people are dead and 3 remain unaccounted for following flash flooding early this morning. We begin our team coverage tonight with Ken's 5's Meredith Haas. Meredith, what do we know so far about the flooding in this area?
Well, I'm going to answer that in just a moment, but I want to take everyone to what's happening behind me. One of those 15 cars that was just washed away by these floodwaters earlier this morning is being pulled from Vital Creek right now. You were watching live one of those cars that was absolutely destroyed in this tragedy being pulled by the tow truck. They already pulled a couple out from Vital Creek, but again, this is just one of those 15 cars. Now, to answer your question, Isis, everyone who survived this has the same story as they've been talking to authorities. They were waiting in traffic on the access road that connects Perrin Vital Road and 410. Stuck in traffic, they all describe a wall of water rushing toward them. Authorities say 15 cars were pushed off the road. Just look at the wreckage we captured. Crushed, ruined, some cars just flipped over like the one you just saw. 10 people were rescued and 4 people died. 1 person was identified by the medical examiner as a 77-year-old woman. Now, 3 people, according to authorities, are still unaccounted for. We spoke with a woman who says her husband, Stevie Richards, was on his way to work when he called and said he was caught in floodwaters. She says there was a large crash, and now she doesn't know where he is.
And the call I got, he was going into some water. And that was it. So yeah, it's really, really, really hard. And like I say, it's just, I don't want to believe this is happening like this. This is just so, I just don't want to believe it. This is not something that happens and you're like, okay, a whole lot of cars got swept up by you from the freeway. How does that even happen? I don't know.
Guys, I want to take us back out here live. If you can just show everyone. Mike has us looking at that car that was just taken out of Vital Creek. I just want you to realize the reality that a lot of families are going through today. They've been out here all morning, all day, trying to figure out if their loved one was involved in this incident. And they're seeing stuff like that. Cars that are crushed, cars that are damaged, that were taken by that rushing water earlier this morning around 5 a.m. Now again, we know that 4 people are dead. They're still searching for 3 people They have dogs out here looking for everyone that's unaccounted for. But right now, again, we know that 4 people are dead, but we know that we are also getting an update at this moment. So when we have more information, we'll be able to bring it to you on air and online at KENS5.com. Meredith Haas, KENS 5.
Such a horrible, tragic situation out there. Thank you so much, Meredith. One man says he was on his way to work this morning when the high water came through Perrin Vital. Carlos Quintanilla told us he managed to escape his truck and swim to safety.
Before it started rolling down, I got out and started swimming. Got a hold of a branch and break. I just felt the water coming in and I just needed to get out. So that was it. Like, I just needed to figure out a way to survive.
Quintanilla says his truck ended up on the other side of the road, flipped over. He says he only has some minor injuries with scratches and bruises. Tonight, we're also tracking the aftermath on Old O'Connor Road and Lookout Road. Emergency crews were forced into action as drivers became trapped in rising water. Our Vanessa Croy joins us from the northeast side, where conditions took a dangerous turn for many drivers. Vanessa?
ECs, we want to give you a first-hand look of this aftermath out here. In fact, take a look at this. What used to be a solid piece of roadway completely ripped apart by those raging floodwaters. In fact, now you see these big, massive pieces of asphalt left behind, scattered across this area like puzzle pieces. I want to give you a look at what it looked like this morning. Take a look at this video. This was the scene around 10 o'clock this morning as my dash camera caught the moments I pulled up to find a FedEx truck stranded in a sea of flooded debris. The big rig was tilted across Lookout Road, barely recognizable. The powerful rush of water left this truck stranded and surrounded by scattered debris, blocking traffic in every direction. Emergency crews were called out to the scene as those rising floodwaters turned roads into rivers, leaving even big rigs like this one at the mercy of Mother Nature. And then happening at the same time on the west side, a driver in a stolen car was no match for the power of floodwater. Police say the driver was speeding in a stolen car when they blew through a high water barrier near West Commerce and Penn Road, only to end up trapped. Fire crews responded with a ladder truck to check the vehicle or try to rescue anyone inside, but they didn't find anyone. Officers later confirmed the car had been stolen and that driver managed to escape as first responders got there. EC's back here live on the scene on the northwest side. We've seen crews from Public Works out here all day working to clean up some of this debris. But as you can see behind me, this will be a big project. In fact, they told us out here they're not even sure how long it will take to fix it. In the meantime, that will be closing this area and this roadway many people take as a shortcut to get home and avoid 35 traffic. But if you're headed this way, just know this road is closed for the time being. For now, reporting on the northeast side, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
Thank you, Vanessa. We want to give our viewers an update that we just got just within the past few minutes from the San Antonio Fire Department. They are now confirming to us that 5 people were killed in this overnight flooding and at least 2 people remain unaccounted for. Again, those latest numbers just in from the San Antonio Fire Department, 5 people dead with 2 still unaccounted for.
From San Antonio's own KENS 5, this is the news at 10.
Now at 10, anti-ICE protests in downtown San Antonio happening tonight. Hundreds showed up to show their support for migrants whose paths to citizenship have been blocked by the federal government.
Also arriving in San Antonio, the National Guard. Troops, you see them right here, getting off buses ahead of tonight's big protests. The Texas governor ordering them to help keep the peace.
Meanwhile, out west, a 6th night of protests in Los Angeles. This is where it all started. Citizens and leaders calling for an end to federal immigration sweeps. Tonight, we have team coverage of the protests in the Alamo City and around the country.
Our Megan Reyna and Sue Kalberg have both been following the action downtown. Let's start with Megan, who's been on the ground with protesters tonight. And Megan, this was a peaceful protest.
Henry Easties, yes, peaceful, but also let me show you what we're seeing now. Lots of cars are honking, driving down Commerce Street. We're right outside City Hall. And in fact, in just the last 10 minutes, police opened up South Flores Street, which has been blocked off for the majority of this protest. Now, this protest was community led, meaning no organization was hosting it. But quickly, when it turned 7 o'clock, hundreds came out outside of City Hall. We heard from so many protesters tonight, but we also caught up with City Councilman Mark White, who was leaving City Hall. He didn't necessarily agree with their messaging, but many people out here felt inspired. And yes, what we saw was peaceful. Take a look. And so in the last 30 minutes is really when we saw the last of the protesters outside City Hall disperse. We're told they may have relocated in a different part of downtown, but they're not here right now. And so far, like I've been mentioning, everything has been peaceful, at least here. Henry Easties.
And Megan, we're also curious, and we've been talking a lot about the law enforcement presence. Walk us through about the interaction that you've been seeing between authorities and these demonstrators that have been out there.
Well, Henry, really, police have been here to provide a sense of safety and also direct traffic. They've been blocking off streets so protesters are able to march. We saw several marches around San Fernando Cathedral back here to City Hall. We also saw some officers that were in some parking garages. But really, again, they're there for that sense of safety and security. There hasn't been much tension between those officers and those protesters from what we've seen tonight. And we have not seen any of those Texas National Guard soldiers here outside City Hall. But of course, we'll continue to follow the latest downtown as these protesters continue this their movement. We know they're going to be back out here Saturday night as well. Reporting live downtown, Megan Reyna, KENS 5.
Megan, thank you. Ahead of tonight's protest, video shows National Guard troops arriving in San Antonio. Governor Greg Abbott activated the troops last night, saying they'll use every tool and strategy to help law enforcement maintain order. However, city, state, and congressional leaders said today there was no communication from the state about the plan.
Now to Alamo Plaza, the crowd you can see much smaller, and the people who came to use the Alamo as a symbolic backdrop were disappointed when they were turned away from the grounds.
That's where Sue Kalberg watched folks come, have their say peacefully, then leave. Sue?
We have had a dramatic turnaround in the last 2 minutes. You heard Megan say that everybody left City Hall. Megan, I have your protesters here. Everybody, many of the people that were at City Hall just showed up here on Alamo Plaza moments ago. This is a dramatic turnaround from what we had earlier. Around 8 o'clock, we had a couple of hundred people. They were very peaceful. They left around 8:30. There was nobody left here. And during those early hours, there appeared to be just a couple of agitators who tried to rile up the protesters, but they were quickly shouted down. Now, we talked to one woman who said that the lack of trouble here throughout the night was what she had hoped for, and she left happy.
People were kind of chanting and stuff like that, but I saw no violence. I actually got overheated and hit the ground, and I had a swarm of people helping me. So,
yay!
Yes. Yeah, it was a good experience.
Awesome.
I'm tired.
All right, now with regard to trouble, we had a show of force here from DPS. They never made a move from their post at the edge of the plaza, but as I said just a couple of minutes ago, a couple of hundred shouting people arrived here, so we are keeping a close eye on the crowd. As a matter of fact, we moved back out of the way because they made a move to go beyond the DPS troopers that are guarding the edge of the plaza, and the DPS troopers moved in, made a show of force, told them that they were going to have to back up, go across the street, keep their distance over here on the porch of the old federal building, the old post office building. As you can hear, the shouting is quite intense, but still, even at this late hour, it is still peaceful, and we have not seen any of the Texas Freedom Force folks who were here earlier, there seems to be no trouble. So we're going to stay here. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to go back upstairs. We're going to turn on our live stream. And so if you want to continue to follow along and watch, we're going to have a live stream up on our other platforms. Sue Kalberg reporting live from Alamo Plaza.